Hello, my name is Aslan Teague, and if you're here watching this, thank you very much for having interest in my topic. To give you a little more background on why I chose my topic, I currently work for a cybersecurity software company in downtown San Diego, and one of our recent initiatives has been to focus on employee engagement and to really understand what that means for our employees and our organization. And in doing that, one of the questions that has came up is how do we get everyone to engage in activities beyond their work, such as training, mentoring, and leadership development, or even sharing their ideas? People were hired at our company for their expertise and potential to contribute to the company's success. They were also hired to fill a need that no one else in the company could fill. And this way, they are diverse. Beyond cultural differences, origins, and so forth, they're also diverse in their age, education, expertise, experiences, and so on. Through another lens, the United States is becoming more and more diverse, and in order to stay competitive, companies need to prepare for a diverse workforce. But the question stands, does having a diversity and inclusion program automatically result in increased engagement from diverse groups? So, what is at the root of diversity? How do we encourage people to show up as their most authentic selves and from their unique experiences contribute in ways that have never been seen before? And more importantly, contribute to business success without fear or judgment. Research has shown that there are two critical factors in individuals feeling motivated to engage, lead, and contribute, which leads me to my topic. Examining the effects of psychological safety and trust on workplace diversity. So before we dive in, what do these words really mean? We hear them all the time, but let's look at their definitions. Psychological safety. Defined as being able to show an employee oneself without fear of negative consequences or self-image, status, or career. Other definitions describe psychological safety is about removing fear from human interaction and replacing it with respect and permission. Results from a number of empirical studies conducted in various regions and countries show that psychological safety plays an important role in workplace effectiveness. Trust. Defined as a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. And diversity, the state of being diverse, variety. The City University of New York also defines trust and diversity as a set of conscious practices that involve understanding and appreciating interdependence of humanity, cultures, and the natural environment, practicing mutual respect for qualities and experiences that are different from our own, understanding that diversity includes not only ways of being, but also ways of knowing, recognizing that personal, cultural, and institutionalized discrimination creates and sustains privileges for some while creating and sustaining disadvantages for others. Building alliances across differences so that we can work together to eradicate all forms of discrimination. So with these in mind and an understanding of why I chose my topic, that leads me to my problem statement. If organizations don't start understanding the impacts of psychological safety and trust in retaining workplace diversity, then companies risk decreases in top talent and innovation, low engagement levels, and costs associated with high turnover rates. It's one thing to hire individuals from diverse populations, but if you're not retaining them, then there's something missing. As the workforce in the U.S. continues to reflect the diversity of the country's populations, it's imperative that organizations learn how to create an environment where everyone feels like they can contribute to their full potential, resulting in increased performance, innovation, and engagement. So the purpose of this study is within the organization of ESET North America, we are going to examine the roles of psychological safety and trust in creating and retaining a diverse workforce. The areas of literature that we'll focus on are the outcomes of a diverse workforce, the psychological theoretical frameworks, which include Maslow's hierarchy of needs, social exchange theory, social identity theory, factors affecting individual and team performance as psychological safety, trust, interpersonal relationships, and influences on personal engagement, such as conscious and unconscious phenomena, past experiences, personal roles. The study will be grounded in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a motivational theory in psychology comprising of a 5-tier model of human needs, often depicted as a hierarchical levels within a pyramid. Needs lower down in the hierarchy must be satisfied before individuals can attend to needs higher up. So in speaking in terms of an organization, we must realize that these physiological needs, safety needs must be satisfied before we can reach the levels of esteem, self-actualization, and more importantly, that middle tier of love and belonging. And this will come in play when we talk about feeling included in a sense of belonging in order to perform at your highest potential. For the conceptual framework, we're going to take psychological safety and trust, which has an impact on diversity, and what the study will attempt to show is that you cannot have diversity and people of diverse backgrounds who feel safe enough to speak up and really share their diversity until you have psychological safety and trust provided by the organization and teams and management. And once you have that diversity, you will then see an increase in engagement. And with an increase in engagement, you will then see a return to an increase in diversity as the engagement increases. And with the increase in diversity, we'll see a relationship back to increased psychological safety and trust. So the research questions that will be guiding this study. First, what are the reported psychological safety levels of employees at ESET? Then, what are the reported trust levels of employees at ESET? And lastly, how do psychological safety and trust levels at ESET impact diversity as measured by the retention rate of minorities? To conduct this study, we're going to use a convergent parallel mixed methods research design. In this design, we're going to, in the quantitative area, we're going to use surveys to capture the levels of psychological safety and trust, as well as data collection around our minority retention rates. At the same time, our qualitative approach will be to include open-ended survey questions within our survey. Our participants will consist of ESET employees in the North American offices, which consists of about 216 individuals. And these participants are men and women of varying educational, generational, cultural backgrounds. The data collection steps will consist of first the IRB approval, organization communications, and then an email with survey sent to participants. So we'll definitely want to create a buy-in for this study and really make it clear to employees in the organization what our intent is and what we expect and hope to accomplish and achieve in the future, as well as our implications for this study, and to really focus on having buy-in from all levels of the organization. And then from there, we hope, that more participants will partake in the survey with knowing and understanding what the potential outcomes may be. And for the data analysis steps, first we'll want to report respondent stats. Then we'll determine a response bias method to account for those that did not partake in the survey. Then we'll analyze the quantitative variables, so the levels of psychological safety and trust. And then we'll take a deeper look at the qualitative responses and really try and gather patterns, categories, and themes from these responses. And in doing this, we also hope to get more information behind the quantitative responses that we receive. And then next, we'll prepare a descriptive analysis and then prepare and present our results. And lastly, implications and recommendations. So from this study, we hope to have an impact on the individuals in our organizations, and then that will lead to the teams in our organizations, and then ultimately impacting our organization as a whole. And how we plan on impacting with our study is to really change in the culture through new practices and policies. Practices such as training and professional development on how to foster and build psychological safety, trust, and diversity. Training for best practices and leading and working with a diverse team, as well as better practices in conducting effective exit interviews and gaining more information on the numbers around our minority retention rate. We also hope that this study will lead to the creation of a diversity and inclusion program, which currently does not exist in our organization. By showing the impact of diversity and the outcomes and the high performance that comes along with it, we really hope that this is one of the outcomes of our study. And lastly, support for continuous learning. And this could include in workshops in cultural competency, as well as learning how to lead and be part of diverse communities and workforces. And recommendations for further study. We hope that by starting with the North America office, we can then show results that will have impact so that we can go ahead and start these studies in our headquarters and also our global locations. And here are the references for this presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.